Okay, so good evening. We have a roll. We know the virtual meeting protocol, so we're going to go to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of previous meeting minutes, November 8th.
Motion to approve.
This is Lil, second.
Is there any discussion? All right, why don't we take the roll then?
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Harsh.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you. Item 6, OPM update.
All right, we'll take it away. Josh, can you enable me to share my screen?
Yep, you should be all set.
There we go. All right, welcome everyone. Alyssa is going to take us through the update. Alyssa, take it away. Let me know when to change slides.
So the project is currently on schedule, no lost time incidents, no COVID issues. Hollow metal door and frame installation is ongoing. We're continuing drywall on the second level of building A as well as the first level. We've done in-wall inspections, fire stoppings completed, and so now we're boarding on the A side. And right now we're just beginning taping as well with temp heat on in the building. The AVB and the brick veneer is ongoing. We are making temporary conditions for heating on the exterior of the building to control the temperatures for that application. Window and curtain wall installation is ongoing. They're just beginning to caulk the interior of the windows, and we'll start the exterior this week. Testing and inspections continues. We recently paved asphalt, and we continue to test the masonry, fire stopping, and compaction. In-wall rough and plumbing and electrical is ongoing, and installation of HVAC ductwork and associated mechanical piping continues throughout the building. And then we're asphalt paving until the plant's close, and we're continuing granite curbing around the site. We're continuing our safety walkthroughs each week with CRM, and we've held various meetings to discuss FF&E, traffic, communications, and we had our kickoff commissioning meeting in November, as well as the pre-op for the exterior trades for like masonry and storefront windows, etc. So definitely a busy month on site. There's a lot of progress, and you can flip to the photos, Mike. So there you see the ductwork and the cafeteria. On the right, you see asphalt paving and the granite curbing going in. Some shots of the air vapor barrier and the brick veneer. And then probably one of the biggest changes is that we've closed in completely building A. So we're completely weather tight. And this is where the gym and the cafeteria is on this side. You see that storefront glass is in there. So it looks very different on site right now. And then on the right, you see we're beginning to drywall and start taping throughout building A on the first and second floors. The skylights are going in, and the gas line is officially going in as well.
Nice.
So we just have our 3-week look ahead. Site work is continuing with the drainage work, transformer pad prep and duct bank work. They've been excavating for the gas service, which you saw is going in now. We're prepping the sidewalks and they're screening and spreading loam at the senior center. Bacon continues to form and install rebar for generator and transformer pads that should be poured this week. And then just continuing making the building completely weather tight and cleaning up around the building. Electrical work, rough continues at the ground floor of A and also at parts B and C on the 2nd floor. For plumbing work, just through this month, we're going to continue the rough overhead at part A on the 1st and the ground levels, in-wall rough, add part A with the 1st and ground levels, and then the carriers and rough at the 2nd floor. So just beginning that plumbing work over in building B and C. Stanley Roofing continues to flash in the curbs and equipment bases, and they're going to finalize the low roof at the A south elevation. As far as mechanical work, we're just continuing ductwork and piping, and then controls rough through this month. Fire protection sprinklers are going in, and then masonry, we're just continuing that brick veneer. As far as drywall, we're starting to bore it on 1st and 2nd levels, as you saw, and then just finalizing any of the framing that's not done. As far as waterproofing, we're continuing AVB and through wall flashing. We're installing stair 2 and the operable partition supports. And then we're installing windows and trim. Sunshade brackets begin this month. And then installing curtain wall 2 and 3, as well as the skylights. We'll start with the exterior panel system with the Z-guards and insulation for the siding. So we'll start to see some of that exterior come together. These are just some of the upcoming milestones that we talked about in the 3-week look ahead, just a quick summary. And then the next 2 meetings, January 10th and February 14th. So we've updated the budget here. We're on budget still. Our contingency is looking really good. I know the PFA budget has been finalized and signed off. So we're starting to track against that now. And then we're all up to date with ProPay, so that's good news. The latest ProPay is just under review at the MSBA. I think that was it. I did throw a slide in there for the window testing, but I don't want to go out of order with the agenda, so we can come back to that.
Yeah, not much to it here, but yeah, we'll get back to it with the voting item.
Right, we did send the proposal over to you all on Friday for Intertech, who was the low bidder. So we can talk about that with the proposal item.
All right, thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Any questions on that presentation?
John, I have a question with regards to our next school building committee meeting on January 10th. Would that be able to be changed because the school committee has a joint meeting with the towns of Bridgewater and Rainham that evening?
Okay. Sure, I mean, I think we would, considering how many people participate in that, we should change that, right, Lil?
I'm sorry?
With all the members that would attend that from the committee, I think we would have to really.
Okay,
Is that your thinking? I mean,
yep.
yeah. Okay, do we want to maybe defer that to the agenda item where we set the next meeting and people will
Sure.
have time to think about their schedules?
Yep, that sounds good. Thanks.
John,
Yes,
also, I wanted to just ask about the February 14th meeting, if we would consider a different date for that as well. That's on Valentine's Day. I know it's not as an important a reason, but we also have two.
Oh, come on, we
holidays.
got some romantics in here.
Yeah, I know sometimes we're tight for quorum, so.
Okay, same thing. Let's defer that to the later in the agenda. But thanks for reminding me that was Valentine's Day. Um, I had a question on the total project budget sheet. Alyssa or Mike,
Yes.
I probably just didn't keep up with this, but when you look at the FF&E, there's the project budget and then the current project budget, and it says subject to MSBA BR approval. So is that $3 million budget in question at all, or is that just the way you're keeping track of? We haven't
Yeah,
changed the headings.
That 3 million is 1.5 for furniture and 1.5 for technology.
Okay,
That's just an old note subject to.
that's what I thought. Okay. That's all I had for the OPM update, unless there's others. Okay, before we go on to the next item, I realized I unintentionally skipped over agenda item 4, which is opening remarks. So I'd like to still provide that opportunity, take it out of order. Obviously, at this point, our manager's not on, but the superintendent is. Derek, you're muted.
That's how they usually like me. There you go. All right.
Sorry
How's
about overlooking that.
No worries. Not at all. How's everybody doing? Just wanted to thank everybody for their continued hard work on this project. As Alyssa just reported out, so happy with the progress that we are making. I know that we have had a few discussions during our weekly Tuesday meetings about some of the class sizes, physical size, but also sizes of students that are going to be coming into this facility once it opens over the summer. If you remember back when we originally started working with MSBA, they provided us with their projections of what they foresaw as our student population for that pre-K 2 school, once it opened. And we did work collectively together with our OPM and RDA. We had several meetings up at the MSBA to kind of push back a little bit on them, just to let them know that we did have some development that would probably be coming online as of the opening of this school. That is coming to fruition, and we have expressed that to MSBA. We've also, discussed it quite a bit where, Mr. Bray currently is averaging, say in his kindergarten classes, about 26 students per. So with that, we really had to kind of look at some options with the physical plant itself and making some, possible changes to the size of those classrooms to accommodate those, extra students, which I will say, and I'm so appreciative of Gene and RDA and John from RDA, who've worked closely with us over the course of the last week to hear our voices in that regard, just to make sure that, we have, these spaces for our children when they do enter our building next September. So I'm sure that that's going to be something that, we discuss as we move further. But again, just want to kind of, bring that to the light of the committee, because those are discussions that we're having on those meetings on Tuesday. And it's an important one because, again, we want to make sure that we have a facility that can hold the amount of students that we are currently seeing coming into the district, especially at the, the K-4 level, which that falls into that, pre-K2 level of what this project will be. So just kind of wanted to give folks a heads up to that. Would be happy to answer any questions in regards to that this evening, or, if you wanted to give me a call throughout the week, and we can have those discussions, or even join us on a meeting on, Tuesday when we have our meetings to discuss these type of issues. But other than that, everything's going incredibly well with the project, and I can't be happier, with the job that we've seen through our OPM and our designers and our contractors in Bacon. So thank you to all those folks, and thank you folks for your continued volunteerism and working on this committee as well.
I'll just jump in quickly, but I can show you the changes to the kindergarten classrooms when we get to the designer update. I can just flash them up on the screen.
Thank you, Gene. And again, I can't say enough about, Gene and folks from RDA who really are hearing our voices and knew initially, we really pushed back pretty hard back, a few years ago when we got the original numbers and projections. And I just felt as though it was incredibly low, as did my team. We went up to MSBA. One thing they did say to us was, unfortunately, part of their formula when trying to project enrollment does not include future development. And we living in the towns obviously know that, future development was coming down the pike. And I understand that they, that's kind of a roll of the dice for them to say that, this future development is going to bring school age children. So, how can they really truly factor that in? But as we all know, living in the communities, that these developments are relatively, developments that are going to bring in newer families, younger families, or, families that have school age children. So thank you to Gene for working. We constantly throw this poor guy curveballs, and he knocks it out of the park. So we appreciate you, Gene.
All right, well, with that, that's a segue right into back to the agenda, which would be item 7, the designer update.
That was good. I'd like to share my screen. Derek, thank you for all those kind words, but it's just, it's what we do. But it's nice to know that it's helpful. So can people see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, so, a lot of these are messy because, Gene doesn't know how to do things on computer, but I think they tell the tale, right? There's 11 kindergarten classrooms on the first floor, and they're all pretty good size rooms. They're all, 1,200 square feet, including their bathroom. And the way we had them laid out originally was these dotted lines represent half-high walls. So they may be like up to your hip or a little higher. And the dotted line here, we were using the walls and we put cubbies here, right? And these blue things are kind of a reconfigured cubby layout. But what we had was you came into the room and this whole zone here was dedicated to cubbies and changing. And, I don't know how often it would get used, certainly at the beginning of the class and at recess and at the end of the day. But we also had, 1, 2, 3, we had like 4 tables in here with 6 chairs, or we had and they were all varieties of tables. And to Derek's point about the increasing enrollments, this was part of going through the FF&E with the staff and the district. They said, well, first of all, we'd really like to plan for 28 kids in each classroom, whether there's 28 day one or ever. But, we kind of need extra capacity. And then they also asked, could we kind of make them all uniform? So we had 7 tables with 4 seats each. And maybe we have one of these horseshoe tables for, kind of a reading group or something, but they, we thought we had interpreted what they wanted correctly and we showed it, but this is the reason that we go through things before we order furniture. So we showed them pictures and it became clear that the room would be better if it were laid out with different furnishings. So long story short, if we kept the room the way it was, we were kind of losing this floor space to furniture. And we found it was getting very difficult to fit 28 students plus work tables and all the other amenities, up in this rectangle that was left over. So the very simple solution was, unfortunately, these half-height walls had been framed, but they didn't have electrical power in them. They didn't have pipes, HVAC, anything. So they were pretty easy to disassemble. And John initiated that process last week. And then what we're going through right now, and we ran it by Dennis and Derek, was just taking the 30 cubbies. We used to have like cubbies in a U shape right on either side here, and rearranging them. So we still have cubbies where they were, but now we've taken the ones that are in the half-height wall and we've kind of put them into this peninsula. But what it's done is allowed us to kind of open up the room and capture this space. And we went, and I'm sorry, this is going to be very small, but we went room by room, and this is, if I just take this as a typical kindergarten room, in this case, the toilet's on the opposite side, but you can see that we still have the kidney table, the teacher desk, we have a bunch of manipulatives and storage, but we have the students, 28 students, even 30 if you put a couple more chairs in, and some of the tables have 5, but sitting at these rectangular tables, and these tables are everything's on wheels. So it's all very flexible and very easy to move around. And though this looks like cubbies here, because we used to have the half-height wall here and here. So though these look like cubbies, this is what they call a home communication center. So it's a place for kids to put, or the teachers to kind of load in binders, and the kids can kind of, grab things on their way out. But on top, kind of butted up to this peninsula, we actually put another table. So whether it's students or whether it's, kind of a work table, you could just see by kind of taking this wall down, it's really freed up the room. And so there will be some costs associated with this. I think there's huge benefits, but there'll be costs associated with, taking down those half-height walls that they had framed. Luckily, again, there were no electrical, plumbing, mechanical infrastructure in those walls. And then John is in the process of issuing this drawing to the mill worker. And, I'm hoping that there's no change. We had 30 cubbies before, we have them now. They're just in different configurations, but we can't speak for the mill worker, but that would be our hope. So that's, Derek, does that sound about right? What we went through?
Yes, Gene, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Great. I don't know if anyone has any questions on it, but again, I think it was a great move. If not,
have
there
a-
was, oh, go ahead.
Just on the, not on the technical part of what you did, but just on the processes, is there anything that requires MSBA approval or anything, that we've already processed?
No,
for
there's,
them?
there's, changes like this happen.
Mhm.
And Derek was very generous in his comments, but they happen on every job and there's nothing that we have to inform MSBA about. This is not a substantial change. We're not changing the square footage of the rooms or really the use of the room, John.
What about technology? Is that based on the number of students in the room?
It's all set up for wireless. The big technology is the teacher's desk is near some outlets that feed the interactive touchscreen, John. You know,
Mhm.
that's kind of hardwired in there. And then everything else is set up for wireless. And the cabinet, we still have the big cabinet here that can fit a wireless cart and charge it. You know, there's a plug inside the cabinet. So we never had like a bank of computers or anything. We just had the teacher computer being connected to the wiring that went to the projections or the interactive screen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Jean, I had a couple of questions, if I may.
Sure, Lisa.
I see that it still says a 2-drawer file cabinet. Did they change those to 4s? 4-drawer?
I can't answer for Angela,
Okay,
but I will have to write that down and double check or remind her.
okay.
I will say, so Angela O'Brien has been, you know, kind of pulling together equipment list per room. No purchase orders have gone out yet, so I can still ask that question, super easy. But Alyssa and CHA took an initiative to get, to have WB Mason look at some of the furniture too. And just on the chance that maybe they can get stuff faster. And, you know, I guess the question is it still the same quality and this and that? So we set up a Zoom meeting with them, and Alyssa, I forget when it's coming up. I know it's in my book. It's next
Yeah,
week
Tuesday
sometime,
at
right?
2. Yep.
Next Tuesday. So I would say that, you know, everyone heard, you know, the disappointment about potential lead time issues. And I know everyone understands it's way out of anyone's control, but Alyssa took the initiative to reach out to WB Mason, and on the off chance that they have kind of similar products that are as durable, but maybe they could guarantee delivery.
And my other question was, do you have any idea what the size of that morning routine area rug is?
I don't off the top of my head.
It's just that, I mean, I'm not a rug person in my room, but a lot of people use them, and there's gonna be up to, 28 kids. And, if it's an 8x10 rug, that's pretty small.
Yeah.
But I mean, from looking at that, I figure the tables are what? 24 inches wide at the, they're 30, 60.
I'm
Probably
gonna
another-
say, it looks like it's about 10 by, I'm doing it right, 3,
Like
6,
60.
yeah, 10 by 12, 10 by 12. It
something
looks like,
that. Okay.
so I don't know if that's a good size or bad size.
I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I don't know. But it just seems like, if you're gonna put a rug in there, and if it's too small for the kids to all gather on it, it may be an issue, but
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
bringing it up. It
Do you
looks
find
good.
some, do you find that sometimes the kids are, half on the rugs and half are on the floor? Or-
I don't know, because I'm not someone who uses rugs. I have little mats that they sit wherever they want. So I'm really not the person to ask about that, but I know I'm in the minority. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up.
Yeah, Lisa, maybe that's something that we could obviously bring up, like you talking, that time would be like for morning meeting, maybe story time, throughout the course of the week. So it's maybe, conversation we can
Yep.
have with maybe some of the folks Dennis and can have with the K2 teachers, and then we could have that discussion too with our pre-Kers too.
Okay, I know some people, when they buy the rugs at like IKEA, they buy 2 8x10s.
Yep.
But I'm like I said,
Yeah.
But it looks good. I like the way you opened it up and left more space.
Yeah. And as you know,
Really
least-
useful.
kindergarten's always kind of the for the most part, the roll of the dice, right? Because we don't truly have an idea of the number coming in. Where usually, we can tell what next year's based upon what next year's first grade numbers are going to be based upon the kindergarten numbers and such. But, minus, the move-in factor throughout. It's just knowing that where, Dennis currently is and the kindergarten teachers currently are in their numbers, and looking at some of these development units now coming online and actually, contacting central registration about it. We just wanted to kind of be as proactive as possible with it.
It's just not gonna be cheap.
I think the RDA did and Gene did a nice job of taking the initial space and just kind of reorganizing it a bit to accommodate.
Well, it's all a team effort, so. The other change, and we can come back to the kindergartens anytime, but the other change, this is like super messy, right? But what I'm gonna do is kind of zoom in on the area. So in the nurses suite, the cot area is over here on the right. And then there's like a refrigerator and a counter and a sink. And then there's an exam room, right, with a door, private room. And then we had a toilet room, right? Then we had another room that had a shower, right, in case someone soiled themselves or, well, pretty much that's what it's for. If anyone needed to be cleaned up. And we had in that room a sink, and we have a kind of a good size changing table, right? But it's motorized. That was one of the things that Shane recommended, way back in the process. If we're going to have a changing table, just to make sure that, well, not make sure, but yeah, so the staff doesn't get hurt, right? Like lifting, a heavy load up onto a table. So anyway, so this room was set up kind of as a spare room for cleaning up a child. And when we were going through the furniture process, the nurses communicated through Dennis and Derek that, we don't really need the shower. We can clean a kid up, but what we do need, believe it or not, is another toilet room. And so this rectangle where my cursor is going around used to be an ADA accessible shower. There was already a drain in the floor. And it so happens that we can put in another toilet and grab bars, just take the shower out. We can still use the same waistline that goes under the slab. And we just have to buy a carrier for the toilet. And I'm sure, the water that was going to go to the shower can now go to the toilet. But I was like, wow, 2 nurses, 2 toilets. I've never done that in a school before. But then I got to thinking how large this school is and how young the kids are, and that there's 3 nurses in the nurses suite. We have 3 desks, and I've never had a nurses suite with 3 desks. So I was like, wow, all right, this must be a very, very busy place, and they probably could use 2 toilet rooms. So we've kind of initiated a change, or asking Bacon to, kind of price out removing the shower and putting in a toilet here. But again, that was something that came kind of bubbled up from the staff, and I think we're just in a great place where we don't have to rip apart a lot to make it happen. So I don't know if Derek has anything else to add to that, but that's one of the other changes that we're initiating.
No, I know that, John had brought it up at a few of our meetings on Tuesdays, and I did reach out to the nurse leader, because I know that, it was kind of a somewhat time-sensitive issue in terms of, what needed to be roughed and whatnot from a plumbing standpoint. And basically what Claire Grennan had stated was just that, Gene, they would much rather have 2 toileting areas than, the area for the shower. So I think that all works out.
Yeah, I think it works out, and I think it should work out fairly, I'm gonna say inexpensively. We can never talk for bacon, but it doesn't seem like it's again, the walls weren't tiled, the room wasn't finished, so it seems like it's something that hopefully will be fairly inexpensive. And then the last thing that we had talked to you about this before, and this is extending. Oh, I'm sorry, I went too far. Extending along the side of the pre-K wing, which is here, and the front door is over here in the lower right where I'm circling my cursor. We had this pullover space for special ed vans, and it was based on 13 vans being able to pull over, and then 2-way traffic going back and forth to the parking lot out back could still take place. And then going through things with Derek and the transportation director, they asked, could we fit in 14 vans? And so we can. We just have to extend the pullover area and kind of move the slope granite curb here, where it used to be up here. So we have this sketch from our civil engineer. It's very simple. And then our landscape architect issued this sketch because there's a bike rack there, and sidewalk concrete comes a little lower, right, or a little further down the page. And then the other part of that was that the request was to, and this is, again, it's messy, but these parking spaces here, all these lines are going back to a note that says, provide a sign that says it's reserved for pre-K and visitor drop off and pickup only. So we took 18 or 19 of the closest spaces to the pre-K entrance, and we were asked to make those kind of not teacher parking, but parking where parents could drop their kids, park, bring their kids on crosswalks over to the pre-K entrance, and then pick up their cars and leave. And I think this was all initiated because we used to have pre-K on a separate pickup and drop-off schedule, or the district did. And to save transportation costs, they want to do it at the same time that the buses and parents are there. So we had to have room to park the vans so that they could stay after the buses and parents cleared out, and then they could leave without creating any more traffic congestion. And then we also had to make sure that a parent had a place where they could park and bring their children in. So that's a change that we're all set, and we'd like to issue that to Bacon to price up. And I think it's exactly what the district was looking for. But Derek, I don't know.
No, and also, not also, the cost of transportation, but also, we looked at it, programmatically, through Paul Jovalos, who's our Director of Student Services, having a different start time and end time, even though it's they're half-day programs for the pre-K, it does create somewhat of a kind of divide in the staff, and that the preschool staff would kind of have their own start time and end times, and possibly not feel as part of the overall school community at that building. It would impact things such as faculty meetings, times for professional development planning, and the rest. So there was a lot that went into that. Paul advocated strongly for that. His voice was definitely heard, and he made truly valid points. So we expressed that to RDA and said, is there a way, instead of doing the staggered start, to have the entire pre-K, the pre-K2 population have the same start and end? And this is the plan that RDA was able to design for us. So we're very happy about that, again, because we want that whole school community to feel inclusive of that building, and to make sure that they all feel as though they're part of the same staff and not having kind of two schools in one.
So like I say, we don't have a number for it, but assuming there's no objections, John was going to issue this to Bacon for pricing. And then we'll have to come back with a, and present, I guess, what the cost implications are, right? So.
John, could I ask a question? It's Mike.
Sure.
So Gene, it's just adding one van?
It is, Mike. I don't know if you can see it down, just extending the kind of pullover lane for one van.
Right. So when we did the traffic study, was the study done with two different start times or with one start time for the whole building?
It was done with two different. So
Okay.
So the idea is, if these show up at the same time, there's a place to park every single van, and then they could actually, Derek could, the school district could hold them and say, don't leave until the parents and buses have left, so that it doesn't add to congestion on the site.
Okay.
Does that
I'm
make
just thinking
sense?
that adding to it's 14 vans more now on South Street as we do this. So, all right, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think, and I keep repeating myself, but I think the idea is that the vans park and they wait so that they're not going out onto South Street the same time as the parents. They would leave later.
Good. Okay. Yeah, and that's the third tier, so
Right.
they're
And
not in a hurry to pick anybody up.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, Mike. Remember, that's, the last tier, so we can hold those vans, and it's not going to create a ripple effect of, late vans at other destinations.
Right. Thank you.
So the only other, go ahead. Any other questions on it?
Yeah, this is John. So is there any action that the committee has to take, or you just advising us?
It's just informational. So when we come back with a price, maybe next month, John, you guys will know what it's all about.
Okay.
I think the other thing, which is just informational, no action, but we had gone through all the finishes, and just wanted to let you know that John Bartecki issued them all to Bacon, right? And I think there was like a couple of questions about them, but nothing that's had any cost impact or anything, which is always a good thing. And now it's off your plates and our plates. It's up to Bacon to get the materials and get them installed. So I wanted to thank everybody for I guess having a lot of patience looking at all those slides, and especially the subcommittee for their input. But it's all behind us now. So that's our report for the night.
Anybody have any questions?
I just asked a brief question.
Sure.
So just the nurses area, the extra toilet, the piping size that's underground, that's going to be verified, just because I've never heard of a toilet with a 2-inch main, certainly
Yeah.
for a shower.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually,
that's right.
it's actually a 3-inch setup for the shower, and John verified with the engineer that you can have a single toilet fixture on a 3-inch line.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's what I just
originally,
wanted to check.
Yeah, we were gonna chop up the floor and put in a 4-inch, but you know, that was one of the pleasant surprises.
Beautiful. I apologize. I saw the 2-inch waist on the sheet.
Yeah, it's a 2-inch to the shower, but it ties into a 3-inch underneath the toilet, believe it or not. So that there's a vertical riser there for a 3-inch that's in that chase. So we're gonna be able to tie it right into that.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, it's actually in the chase. So the 2-inch waist is there for the shower, but that goes into a 3-inch waist. So,
Well,
and
that-
you're allowed to put one toilet on a 3-inch waist.
Perfect. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. So with
So
that,
Gina,
I can,
I had a
okay.
I had a question on your mention of talking with WB Mason. Can you just explain how that impacts the procurement? In other words, I understand the motive to try to get something that is a shorter lead time so that we can stay on track. What's the significance of reaching out to them, and how does it affect how you actually buy the furniture or solicit?
Oh, WB Mason. Well, maybe Alyssa can talk to that. She initiated it. I remember, but I'll just set the stage that when we had discussed furniture with the committee, either last meeting or the meeting before, you know, our furniture consultant, Angela, had made the point, and it's a correct point, that we're in uncharted territory, and, you know, we're trying to order as fast as we can, but we can't guarantee delivery dates. No one's told us everything's going to be late yet, or anything's going to be late yet, but she just wanted to set that expectation that sometimes stuff happens, especially, well, now stuff happens because of the supply chain issues, and that there might have to be a plan B, which, remember, involved, you know, maybe you have to move some of the old furniture in until the new furniture shows up. So I think Alyssa especially took that to heart and reached out to WB Mason. And I'll let you talk about it, Alyssa.
Yes, so my initial reaching out to WB is because of my existing relationship with them and the success that I've had with them in the past. But specifically for this project, I reached out to them to understand what they were seeing with lead times as well, moving in new schools. Even the MSBA has said across all of their projects right now, they're seeing major delays with furniture, and that has to do with the supply chain from the COVID impacts. But what I have learned from WB Mason this time is they are using local vendors in Massachusetts that are producing locally. And so that cuts out, sometimes we're getting furniture from China and overseas and things getting stuck in ports and whatnot, but they work with some manufacturers here in Massachusetts that can get us local stuff by the time we move in. So now in our meeting early next week, we're going to determine, you know, what items are those? Do they meet specifications that OSO, Angela from OSO has put out there? So they're working on getting me like all the warranty information right now, so we could sit down and go through their furniture proposal piece by piece and get lead times for that furniture, and see if there's some things we can order from them versus some of the manufacturers that Angela works with, maybe overseas. And don't get me wrong, WB Mason also orders things from overseas, but they have an expansion of manufacturers in their network that they work with that may be above and beyond who just Angela specifically works with. So that's what we're going to sit down early next week to determine. It's by no means we're going to get the entire order from them. And maybe a select amount of items that we can get a better lead time on, but it's not guaranteed.
Probably as soon as possible. I would say, Dennis, because we went through, we went through pictures of all the furniture with your staff. So, so what we want is we want to understand what WB Mason is proposing, and it's got to be functionally, similar, but it also has to be, I'd rather get something late and have it be sturdy, so it's got to be as rugged, right? And I don't care sometimes what the warranty is, because who the hell wants to go through, chasing someone over a warranty issue. So that's what Alyssa and Angela and I are gonna get on the phone, on a Zoom with WB Mason and kind of vet what they're talking about and see if it's worth pursuing.
It's just all about having options and going out and having that plan A, plan B, plan C. We're just trying to do the best that we can in the circumstances that we're in. So
Melissa, do you have an idea of the timeline on that meeting?
I don't yet know.
But-
It's the meeting is Tuesday, so I'm hoping that we can get all of our questions answered then. And if you guys would like to meet quickly after, just
Yeah.
to do an update, I definitely can set that up with you guys.
That'd be great. I think definitely that's what I wanted to kind of make sure we just have that follow-up.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, thanks for that explanation.
No problem.
Anybody else for the designer update? Any questions or discussion? All right, we're going to move on to agenda item 8, approval of vacant payment requisition number 11.
We have payment requisition 11. Let me. It's for the November period. Payment due in the amount of $2,668,619. This has been reviewed and approved by us and RDA and signed by John and RDA. So were there any questions on this?
All right,
Motion to approve, Mark.
Second,
That was
Joe.
a motion by Mark. I'd second that, Matt. But
we should just state the amount, Mark.
Okay, it's
Can you see it?
$2,668,619. Motion to approve that.
Matt Rushton, second.
All right, why don't we do the roll?
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Harsh. Harsh,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you. Item 9, approval of bacon change order number 8.
So this is change order number 8. It was sent around for review. Gene also provided some narratives as to the reasoning behind them and the merit of them. It includes PCOs 37, 40, 41, 42, and 43. If there are any questions on them individually, we can have Gene take us through whichever ones have any questions. Or were there any questions? Pretty,
I had-
pretty
I had a-
self-explanatory. Oh, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I just had a question on the electrical. I know Dean's explanation was pretty detailed, but it comes down to it was just missed by the electrical consultant, the connections. So I'm just wondering, are we paying a premium because it wasn't discovered until so late in the process that things have to be done differently or redone or undone and redone? I just wasn't sure how that worked out.
John, at one point, this was some $7,000 or $8,000 higher. So we sent it to, when we sent it to the electrical engineer, he came back with some pretty solid recommendations in terms of what it should be. And when it went back to the electrical contractor, he said, I agree. So whatever real premium we might have paid, we managed to get out of it with the electrical engineer actually really picking it apart. So I
Yeah,
felt pretty good about
it was a nice review, and it, John, they had just priced it using the typical, every single widget has a certain amount of labor hours tied to it.
Yeah,
So they went through and picked apart all the quantities, and we were able to reduce the quantities and the labor throughout it.
okay.
with Bacon's markup, this might have been 33 or 34 if we hadn't picked at it, had the engineer pick at it. So he recognized his issue and he did what he had to do to get it to where it would have been if it would have been at the bid anyway. That's his feeling. So
I also want to say, I mean, we're all professionals, and stuff happens, but we feel bad when it happens, when something like this comes up. So I know that David Pereira, the electrical engineer, I mean, he's a principal of the company, and he was upset that his company had missed it, and he did spend his personal time and personal I don't know, efforts or whatever it's worth when the principal of a company's arguing with an electrical contractor. I mean, he did jump in personally to do the best we could on this price.
Okay, understood. I just, when it's that amount, just want to know if we're paying more, but sounds like it's pretty close to the first cost that we'd have anyway, so understood.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions on this change order number 8? All right. So I guess,
We seek a motion to approve change order 8 in the amount of $43,857.98.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Pat Rushton, second.
okay, why don't we take the roll?
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Harsh,
yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you. Item 10, approval of window testing proposal. Vote required.
All right, so this window testing is water and air infiltration testing. This is testing that Briggs Engineering, our third-party tester that's on board right now, does not perform. So this would be pulled from that same $125,000 third-party testing budget, which we've been tracking, and it is still a healthy amount remaining. We, the design team, the commissioning agent, feels this is a responsible test to perform and a necessary test. It'll be witnessed by our commissioning agent who's already on board. As you see, we got 3 prices to perform this. Intertech was the leading price, but also the most available, the most flexible schedule wise for us. So we were happy to see them below. We have a lot of experience with them on other projects as a firm as well. So we did send out, their full proposal for review last week. And here's just the comparison with our other bidders. So we would be seeking a motion to approve Intertech as our window tester. It's $2,750 per day for the testing. We anticipate, no more than 2 days of testing. So what we'd like to do is carve out a $10,000 not to exceed from our testing budget and track Intertech against that.
What's the total of the testing budget?
It's 125,000 right now. We've expended about 75,000, but we've gotten through, the bulk of the trades that require it most.
Okay. Any discussion or any questions?
So if
Okay.
I could, if there are no questions, I'll try and throw out the language. It would be a motion to approve Intertech as our window testing agent at the rate of $2,750 per day of testing with a budget not to exceed $10,000.
Okay,
Matt Rushton will second that.
Or I guess you would so move, right, Matt? Because I can't make a motion.
Oh. Apologize, I couldn't see who was speaking. So moved on the last motion.
thank you. We have a second.
Will second.
All right, take the roll, please.
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Will,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Harsh,
Yes.
Matt. Scott,
Yes.
thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11, report of the communication group.
Not a whole heck of a lot to report this month. The team did go down on not this past Friday, the Friday before, and did a tour of the building. Lil, myself, and Pat did a walkthrough. Things are looking really good. Starting to have, again, continuing, I should say, those conversations about the ribbon cutting and that event that we'll have to really dig into starting next year. So continued updates come out from Tommy and Alyssa with photos, and those photos get posted to the website. So not just the website, but Facebook as well. So if anybody has anything, Lil, did I miss anything? Pat, I don't know if don't think Pat's on, but Lil, I don't know if I missed anything there.
No, you didn't. You covered it all, Mike.
Okay, thank you. Item 12. Next Mitchell Elementary School building meeting, and we want to discuss the next two, January 10th and February 14th. So the 10th conflicts with or occurs with the school building committee. I'm sorry, the school committee joint meeting. So if the 10th doesn't work, What are our options? The 17th is Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, which would be the following Monday. What, so what are we thinking? Another day of the week?
Would Tuesday, the 11th work?
It would for me for that particular month, but I'm teaching on Tuesdays starting end of January, so that works good because it's the week before classes. That's just me though.
This is Joe, that's fine.
That works for me also.
Is it a council meeting, Matt?
Matt, you know if there's a
Let's
council
just
meeting?
roll with that then.
I'm sorry, I spoke over you. So the 11th does work. Math? Is that what he said? I just couldn't hear him. I was talking over him. All right, well, why don't we shoot for the 11th, and Josh, maybe you could just, you know, send out, you know, a quorum request,
Okay, I can
maybe
do that.
a little bit earlier than normal, just because it's a different day. Day of the week. Okay, so we're gonna shoot for January 11th for our next meeting in lieu of the planned 10th. And that's for January. And then February. With the 14th being Valentine's Day. Would we do the same thing? Would we shoot for a Tuesday?
That works for me.
I definitely won't be able to make it.
Yeah, this is Joe. I will not be able to. as
Yeah.
well.
Okay. The 21st is President's Day in my calendar. Is that is that the holiday? What about moving it up? Does that fit in with the contractor pay requests and the normal processing that seems to be going along pretty smoothly? Would that cause a problem?
I think it should be fine because the end of the month is Monday, the 31st. So they can issue it to us the week before and project one day of work.
Okay, and they're generally motivated to do that, so.
Absolutely.
So does that first Monday of the month work, though, for enough of us to have a quorum and not leave anybody out?
Yes, for Joe.
Works for Matt.
Okay, then why don't we plan for that? And again, Josh, just maybe ask everybody a little bit earlier, because it's well, it's a Monday, and it's definitely earlier, so I guess that'll be covered. Okay, so the February meeting then will be February 7th in lieu of the originally scheduled 14th. All right. Item 13, any new business? All right. Seeing none, how about 14, public comment? Does anybody have anything they want to mention, or is there anybody from the public in attendance? Doesn't look like it. All right. Next item is adjourn. And I want to thank everybody again for all the hard work and participation. And let's see. Happy holidays.
Yes.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yeah, always, everybody.
All right, I need a motion.
This is Lil, motion to adjourn.
Second, Mark.
All right. Roll.
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Harsh,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes, happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.
Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved. The meeting's adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.